r/AskReddit by Best of Reddit. We've heard all about red flags, but Reddit, what are some green flags on a first date? On the first date with my wife, we went out for a lengthy lunch date and then went to get back on the highway to head home. Well, I had been out of the country for a bit, plus I was a little bit distracted, so I got on the highway heading in the wrong direction. Neither of us noticed that our 15-minute drive somehow was 45 minutes and that instead of heading home we were heading into the city. We laughed when we figured it out, turned around, and kept talking the whole way back. Been married over 7 years and still love driving places with her. We pass a lot of time just loading our young kids into the car and driving the exact same route around town talking. I initially thought you meant you were driving the wrong direction against traffic, and was very concerned that you both just laughed it off. Glad that wasn't the case and that things worked out so well for you. For me, it was the retry-worthy fuck-ups. My first date with my now wife, we had dinner and the host happened to know me from college. It was his first day and he kept coming up to us to chat. He was seriously annoying. That made my date and I agreed to try again. Second date, movie which had technical difficulties. We got a free movie pass out of the deal. Third date, paintballing. She got shot in the eye by some punk teenager while she was fixing her mask. We bonded in the hospital over the situation. Fourth date, comedy show. The lady next to us was the worst heckler I have ever seen. Super disruptive. That lady and her friends were kicked out and the rest of the acts were meh. It goes on and on. Every time we try to do something romantic, something happens that ruins the mood. We laugh it off and memories are made. That was 10 years ago and we still talk about it. It reminds me of the movie Hitch starring Will Smith. My girlfriend and I have a similar experience. It's nearly impossible for us to get good service when we go out for food. First date, we sat at the table for 20 minutes before we got menus. Second date, we got sushi. They brought us half of what we ordered and some random stuff we didn't. Our fifth-ish date, we waited for an hour before someone realized they hadn't put our breakfast order in. It goes on and on. We've never even had a perfect drive-through experience. There's always a forgotten hash brown or drink or they forget ignore her allergies. It's become a running joke with us. The fact that we both laugh it off and find it more amusing and statistically impossible that our service is always bad is a huge green flag. I hope we're still getting shitty service and laughing about it in 10 years. I dated a woman who said one of the things she liked was that I didn't try anything sexual on the first date. Well, it wasn't so much a date as we went out with a few mutual friends and hit it off. We got pretty drunk so I let her sleep at my place. We shared a bed, but that's it. She was all over me on the second date. Fun times. Being able to sleep with a man and him showing restraint is a major green flag, especially if there's cuddling involved. It shows he understands consent and respect. It also shows that if the both of you get into a relationship, you know how he is and that he won't jump another woman's bones so quickly. Obligatory. My first gold. Thank you. I'm glad that I got it for something worthwhile. In high school I was talking to my friend over the phone about how sad I was to be moving soon. Let's call her Amanda, because that's her name. Apparently when we got off the phone, she immediately got on her bicycle and rode an hour to my house to cheer me up. When she got there, she knocked on my window to let her in and I, very quietly so I wouldn't wake up my parents, slid the window open and helped pull her inside and onto my bed, which was right next to the window. After a few minutes she asked if she could kiss me and I said yes. But I was so tired that after that I just held her and fell asleep. She got busted by her mother a couple days later when, while washing Amanda's clothes, she found a long and detailed note Amanda had written to a friend about her late night adventure. She got grounded, but apparently her mom became a big fan of mine for not trying anything with her, and she started inviting me over to the house very frequently afterwards. I'd never been there before this. I don't know if I was on an actual date, so I don't know if this counts. We spent an hour and a half talking at a coffee shop, touched each other's hands and arms repeatedly, and when I was walking her home, I put my right arm through her left, kept talking. She didn't break stride or react at all. We just walked arm in arm 3 more blocks and across a park to her place. I think that's a pretty good sign that there's a comfort level there, right? We chatted in person a couple times before and had been emailing back and forth for over 3 months before she had time to get together. And she wants to get together again so I can meet her friends. Not sure when though. I did tell her that I liked her, in a reversion to middle school communication patterns. And she said that she thinks she's going to end up a Buddhist nun, which kind of skews things a bit. Help? Being able to communicate feelings without placing blame is another huge one. If your so can handle conflict by staying calm, and communicating their needs without placing blame, then you've got to keep her. Also, when they verbally say I really like you, and I'd love to go on a second date, I never ever had to wonder if my boyfriend and I were something more. He always made and still does say out loud how he feels about me. Not ushy gushy but just genuine affection. It was always clear where we stood with each other. Words of affirmation is huge for me, so it was a green flag for me. I met my boyfriend on Tinder a little over 2 years ago. We talked for 2 or 3 months before even meeting. The 2 big green flags for me was that we talked all day every day and it just felt so normal. We talked up everything and anything. The other one was that he never asked me about my sexual past or sex experience until after we already started being boyfriend and girlfriend. I just feel like anytime I ever talked to a guy they would always ask about my sex experience within the first few hours or days, and for someone who had none at the time it made me feel inadequate kind of. But our first date together is the greatest thing. We went to see a movie. We're both a little shy and awkward so we barely even talked. We sat as far away from each other as possible, and at the end of the date he brought me home and I got out of the car so fast BC I was so nervous. I thought I ruined the whole date by not talking enough and running away lol, but I thought he was nice and cute. I thought that it was over. Then about an hour later I got a text from him asking if we could do it again sometime and how much fun he had, and I was just so happy he wanted to see me again. Ugh, I love him so much to this day. When they're polite with the waiting staff. I was on a second date. That was a date day. Without going into details, I massively fucked up and it nearly ended up in her never wanting to see me again. But she trooper-ed through and decided she'd at least wait to have the dinner out we planned before leaving. While we were at the restaurant, the server is someone I know and he starts chatting to me about my boss. I say chatting, essentially bitching. My boss goes in there all the time and gets a generous discount, but every fucking time he gives them half what they charge him and walks out laughing. 9/10 my meal is part of that order since he lives with me during the season. It winds me the fuck up. Anyways, this guy's bitching that he's done it again total 3 times since I was last in, so end of the night I tip £20 and apologize as some of those meals were also mine and he shouldn't still do it. Now I don't do that all the time, but from time to time I do because it's not fair on them. I go to the bathroom and the server carries on chatting to my mate date. Apparently she asked him about all that stuff and got the backstory on it all. She made a small remark, is he doing it to show or something, and the guy responds nah. He gets wound up. This is about the 3rd time. I wish he wouldn't though, it's not his fault just because he is getting the food. Came back. Sat down, she asked when I'm next free. That turned into a 2-year relationship. Found out halfway through it was nearly a 2-date relationship if it wasn't for that. You know that feeling when it's been a long day and you grab your pair of comfy breeches from the closet and put those suckers on? It's like all is suddenly changed a little bit for the better. It's not overwhelming, but damn it feels good every time you do it. Keep that thought in mind a moment. I met a girl and asked her out to dinner. She was cute and sweet and I thought she might be fun to hang with. Over dinner I really started just feeling comfortable around her. There was not really any awkwardness you usually have. We ended up sitting in a recliner and talked all through the night. No kidding, she never left. We've been married 21 years, 2 kids. I joke that we are still on our first date. One more from her point of view. We were poor Appalachian kids and so a lot of going out was doing free stuff. One thing that was fun was to hunt golf balls behind a course near where we lived. There were train tracks that ran past the course and we had to cross a trestle bridge to continue on around the edge of the course. The bridge was visually very scary. As long as you focused on the railroad ties you were fine, but if you looked through them and saw the river below it got scary as hell. Even though you really couldn't fall. I remember she hesitated when we started to cross and I told her right to her eyes, "I'll never let you fall." She replied, "Ever?" I said, "Number. Never." We went on across and finished our hike. She had gotten quiet towards the end and I was worried maybe I'd messed up asking her to cross the bridge. It always scared me as a kid. When we got in the car I saw tears welling in her eyes. I started to apologize and it was her that blurted out, I'm sorry, huh." Before I could ask her, she looked up at me and said, "I just fell in love with you back there. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I just feel safe with you and now I love you. Did I mess things up?" "No, you didn't." Our first date was Guardians of the Galaxy. I was running a little behind schedule, so she took it upon herself to pay for snacks. We worked together and she's apparently liked me for ages. I was clueless, so she already knew my favorite snacks. They were out of the candy I wanted, so she walked to the candy shop nearby and bought 3 boxes of it. Our second date was TMNT a week later. If you saw the first showing, they give you a mask headband representing one of the turtles. I didn't get the one I wanted, but I am not about to complain and ruin a second date. She knew that, excused herself to the restroom, and came back with that sweet Raph mask that she knew I wanted. She said she'd heard me mention it days before, and decided to trade with someone. Those may seem like dumb little things that don't hold any weight to you, but I'm never letting go of her. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment.